Jester87 wore a clown mask and never spoke, but his silent crimes turned him into an overnight sensation. Mascovchios followed with a live stream so disturbing it forced the FBI to act. What began as anonymous stunts quickly spiraled into a nationwide web of real-time violence, and by the time authorities realized how deep the network ran, millions were already watching. It started in a quiet suburb of Atlanta, where life rarely strayed from the ordinary. That changed the night a masked figure appeared on a live stream, silently filming himself walking through neighborhoods in the dark. He wore a bright clown mask with an exaggerated grin and carried a handheld camera, occasionally turning it toward his own face. At first, the stream showed him knocking over trash bins and stealing lawn decorations, petty acts that seemed more like pranks than crimes. Viewers laughed, commented, and shared the video. The account, under the name Jester87, gained followers overnight. What began as odd amusement quickly turned into something darker. Just a few days later, Jester87 went live again, this time standing outside a small, single-story home. Without hesitation, he picked the lock and walked straight inside. The camera shook slightly, adding to the chaos. Inside, the lights were off. The only sound was the quiet breathing of the masked man and the low hum of appliances. He didn't speak or steal. He simply walked through the house, filming rooms filled with family photos, toys, and laundry. At one point, he stopped in the kitchen, stared at the camera for 10 seconds, then slowly waved. The screen cut to black. The comments during the stream were a mix of shock and thrill. Some viewers begged him to stop, thinking it had gone too far. Others donated money, calling it the best content they'd ever seen. Within hours, the clip was uploaded to several platforms and gained millions of views. News outlets picked it up. Authorities began searching for the man behind the mask, but he left no fingerprints, no footprints, and no identifying features. His voice was never heard. As media coverage grew, so did his popularity. Each stream became more intense, with followers counting down to his next appearance like it was an online event. Hashtags began trending. Fan accounts posted theories and timelines, but no one could figure out who he was. Despite the mounting pressure, he kept returning more brazen each time. While police treated him as a dangerous criminal, parts of the internet treated him like a performer. Unknowingly, the world was witnessing the birth of something new. It wasn't just a man in a mask doing bad things. It was the start of a movement, one that would turn real-life violence into viral entertainment. The rise of Jester87 marked the beginning of a disturbing trend that quickly spiraled out of control. As his videos racked up millions of views, others began to mimic his style, anonymous, masked, and unapologetically bold. Copycats emerged from cities across the country, each trying to outdo the last in both creativity and danger. In Los Angeles, a man wearing a wolf mask live-streamed himself running through traffic and smashing car windows with a crowbar. In Chicago, a pair of masked individuals broke into an abandoned hospital and set off fireworks inside the building, all while thousands watched live and commented in real time. These weren't random acts of violence. They were performances carefully planned, theatrically executed, and driven by one goal: to entertain an online audience. Platforms began to struggle with how to respond. Some tried banning the streams as soon as they appeared, but the performers were always one step ahead. New accounts, proxy servers, and cryptic usernames made it nearly impossible to trace the origin. Viewers followed these criminals like fans following influencers, tuning in religiously, subscribing, donating money, and even suggesting ideas for the next act. The media coined a term for it: performance crime. Unlike traditional crime, these acts were not committed in secrecy but staged for the thrill of live viewership. The criminals weren't hiding, they were streaming. Some even added effects like music, graphics, or countdown timers to build anticipation. They treated their crimes like episodes of a show, complete with cliffhangers and teaser trailers. The boundary between entertainment and real-life danger was eroding fast. Police departments in multiple cities began forming digital crime units to monitor these live streams and track the individuals involved, but catching them was nearly impossible. By the time authorities received tips or located a stream's origin, the criminals were already gone, having vanished into the night with thousands of dollars in donations and millions of views. Meanwhile, social media platforms were flooded with reaction videos, conspiracy theories, and montages glorifying the most shocking moments. A new breed of online celebrity was being born, not actors or artists, but masked criminals who perform chaos for fame. The line between fame and infamy had completely blurred. What began as a single man in a clown mask had now grown into a decentralized wave of violence, all powered by attention, fueled by technology, and watched by millions. One cold December evening, a new account called Mascofchios appeared on several streaming platforms. The profile photo was a blank black circle. The banner simply read, 12:31 Watch what happens. A 24-hour countdown began. Thousands of people tuned in, speculating what the event would be. Rumors spread fast. Some believed it would be another break-in. Others thought it might be a prank or a stunt, but many feared something more serious. As the hours ticked down, the chat filled with theories, warnings, and even encouragement. The mystery became a digital spectacle. When the timer hit 0, the screen switched to a shaky camera view of a quiet suburban street at night. Viewers could see houses lined up on both sides, dimly lit by porch lights. A figure appeared, face covered by a white mask with a painted grin, dressed in all black. The camera moved with him as he approached a house, turned the doorknob, and slipped inside without force. The stream didn't buffer. It didn't glitch. It was live, and it was real. Inside, the masked man walked with careful steps, his camera showing family photos on the walls, a child's toy left on the floor, and the glow of a television in another room. Suddenly, he turned the camera toward a couple sitting on a couch, their backs to him. They never saw him coming. In a flash, he restrained them with duct tape, keeping the camera focused the entire time. One tried to scream, but it was muffled. The chat erupted with reactions, some horrified, others egging him on. For 15 straight minutes, he moved through the house, destroying furniture, stealing electronics, and showcasing the couple's fear like it was part of a movie. Donations poured in, some with comments cheering him, others begging him to stop. The line between spectators and participants blurred further. Then, just as suddenly, the stream ended. The next day, police confirmed the couple had survived but were hospitalized with injuries. They had no idea they were being watched by tens of thousands in real time. Mascofchios had vanished, leaving no fingerprints, no devices, and no camera. The stream had used multiple proxies and bounced off servers around the world. It was the most watched live crime to date. What once felt like a disturbing trend had now crossed into undeniable reality. Live-streamed violence was no longer a spectacle, it was a growing, organized threat. As the internet reeled from the horror of the Mascofchios live stream, law enforcement agencies shifted from reactive measures to full-scale investigations. The FBI launched a national task force focused on the growing trend of performance crimes. And their first breakthrough came from a seized laptop in Detroit linked to a smaller copycat streamer. What they found changed everything. Hidden behind encrypted folders was access to a dark web forum called Stage Room, a digital meeting ground for masked performers, tech experts, and viewers willing to pay for exclusive content. Inside Stage Room, members shared detailed tutorials on how to conduct and film crimes without getting caught. Topics ranged from masking IP addresses to staging safe violence that looked real on camera. It was more than a group of thrill seekers, it was an underground network. Some acted as logistics managers, providing stolen gear, burner phones, and escape routes. Others worked on monetization, creating donation funnels through cryptocurrency wallets. The crimes were no longer isolated. They were planned, produced, and distributed like professional content. In Chicago, a raid on a suspected hub uncovered a warehouse outfitted like a studio. Walls were lined with various masks, lighting equipment, and sound gear. A stolen van filled with props and outfits sat in the back. Authorities also found a wall-sized map with markers indicating past and future locations. Among the files recovered was a list of over 50 usernames, each connected to violent acts that had been streamed across the country. The network had codes, rankings, and a reward system based on viewer engagement. The more shocking the content, the higher the payouts. Despite these discoveries, dismantling the operation proved difficult. Every account tied to the network was quickly abandoned and replaced. Members used aliases and communicated with encrypted messages that vanished after opening. Even more troubling was the audience. Some viewers were passive spectators, but others paid money, offered locations, and even voted on what crimes should be committed next. Officials were worried that the situation was turning into a form of domestic terrorism, hidden as entertainment. For the criminals, the online platform was like their stage to perform. For the viewers, the chaos was the show. And just when investigators believed they had the group cornered, a new encrypted message surfaced on stage room. It was brief, chilling, and clear. Midnight, Times Square, millions watching. The next target had been chosen, and this time, the entire world would be watching. New Year's Eve in Times Square was always a spectacle, but this year, the air was different. Police presence tripled. Surveillance drones hovered overhead. Emergency response teams were stationed in nearby buildings, and bomb squads monitored the area in rotating shifts. The threat from the StageRoom network had everyone on high alert. The message midnight, Times Square, millions watching had spread across forums, hinting at a live attack during the nation's most watched celebration. Despite warnings, crowds still gathered, and television crews set up for the countdown. As the final hour of the year approached, every major streaming platform monitored traffic spikes. At 11:50 p.m., a sudden surge was detected. A new live stream had gone live, titled simply, Finale. The screen showed a dimly lit underground space, subway walls, screeching rails in the background. Then, the camera shifted to a crowded train car beneath Times Square. A masked figure stood calmly in the center, holding a small device with blinking lights. The stream's chat exploded panic, disbelief, and frantic questions. Was it a bomb? Was it real? On the surface, celebration continued. Confetti cannons prepped. Celebrities smiled for cameras. But below, the train was already in motion, and the masked individual held up a sign, Happy New Year. Authorities quickly traced the signal's location and diverted all trains. Units were dispatched through maintenance tunnels, racing against time. Viewers watched helplessly as the masked figure began a countdown of his own separate from the New Year's one. It was terrifyingly close to midnight. At 11:59 p.m., just seconds before the city's official countdown, the stream glitched and went dark. Police had stormed the car. The device was a decoy. The passengers, shaken but unharmed, were safely evacuated. The masked man was arrested while attempting to flee through a tunnel access point. He was 19 years old, a computer science student from Connecticut. During interrogation, he confessed he was promised a massive cryptocurrency payout if the stream reached 1 million viewers. It had surpassed that within 6 minutes. His capture led to several follow-up arrests across the country. Servers were seized, and StageRoom was eventually shut down. But the damage was done. The world had witnessed how digital fame could drive real-world terror. Live-streamed crime had changed forever. Though the StageRoom network had been dismantled, authorities warned of sleeper members and new platforms on the rise. The masks might change, the names might differ, but the hunger for online attention remained. Performance crime had evolved, and it was far from over.